When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
Dr. Raj.
Dr. Raj Dasgupta.
The most interesting pulmonologist in the world.
Welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast, a show all about empowering knowledge, addressing difficult topics, raising awareness, and being positive. Dr. Raj is a quadruple board-certified physician, associate professor of clinical medicine, and the associate program director of internal medicine residency. He was a co-host on the TNT series Chasing the Cure with Ann Curry, as well as a regular on the TV show The Doctors. And now, here's our show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast. And what is this a podcast of? A podcast of happiness, of wellness, of great stories, amazing people, and I like to let my audience know what are some new things out there to help you feel better. And of course, one of the biggest topics is always, well, how long can I live? Let's improve longevity. But wait, remember what Dr. Raj always says, it's not about how long you live, but how healthy you can live. And with that note, I do have a great guest today that's going to talk to us about some new technology that I don't know too much about. That's why I have these awesome guests. Today, we're going to have Penny Foskaris. She is a certified nutritionist, health coach, and founder of the Foskaris Wellness and Red Light Pro devices, specializing in the holistic approach to anti-aging and chronic wellness challenges. She has helped thousands of clients reduce pain, inflammation, and fat while improving skin health, energy, and overall vitality through the integration of red light therapy into her wellness programs. As a creator of Longevity RX system, Penny combines advanced technologies like red light therapy, something called pulse electromagnetic field therapy, sounds very Star Warsy, and sound therapy with personalized nutrition to support healing and rejuvenation from the inside out, which is a great movie, by the way. Her passion lies in educating others on the real science behind red light therapy and helping them discover how to safely and effectively incorporate it into their wellness routines, whether in the clinic or at home. With that being said, Penny, how are you doing today?
I'm amazing. How are you doing? So glad to be here, Dr. Raj.
All right. No, I'm in the mood. I think that I just came from what we call morning report, where we discuss cases with the resident, and it's all overwhelming medical. I like to talk about things that people don't know a lot about, because I think that I'm great at cracking open a dorky medical book and reading things one-dimensionally. But are you ready to talk about like red light therapy and the Star Wars techniques of electromagnetic whatnots? Are you ready?
I am so ready. I love sharing about red light therapy and PMF therapy. And there's a lot of things that people don't understand about it. And just in simple terms, how amazing they can feel, and it can increase longevity as well, too. So that's really my goal, is to help people live longer and healthier with vitality, right?
Of course. So I want to know something about you. How does a nutritionist, a health coach, get into this longevity system with all these devices? What was your story to get here?
I'll tell you, about 20 years ago, I was very sick. I was trying to just live my life normally with my family. And I found that sometimes I would walk across the room, I would get dizzy. I would have to pull over from driving my kids to school, and my kids would sit there waiting patiently while I was just trying to like get myself together to be able to drive again.
Yeah.
And I had really, really bad pain in my abdomen for about 2.5 years. And I went to so many different doctors, spent thousands of dollars on testing, and they're like, we don't know what to tell you. What's wrong? And so I'll just share with you. One day I sat on my bathroom floor with sweat pouring down my body and agonizing pain.
Oh.
And I asked God to help me just be normal. I wasn't even asking for fantastic or amazing. I just want to live a normal life until drive my kids to school.
Yeah.
And I promised him I would help as many people as I can, which I get to do now. And 2 days later, I got directed to a wellness center that did food sensitivity tests. A friend of mine who's an RN said, look, at least they can help you with your digestion. Maybe they can get rid of that. That's my thing, was maybe that, because I had really bad indigestion. And when they tested me with this test, the Zytoscan, which I do in the office now, my top 3 foods not to eat were black tea, bananas, and strawberries.
Okay.
You're like, huh? And I was like, what? Like, okay, I'll just cut those out because I just want to get rid of indigestion. And I found when I cut out the strawberries, my pain in my abdomen went away completely.
No.
My dizziness went away when I stopped eating bananas. I would like try to, eat half a banana while I'm driving in the car. And then I would start getting dizzy 10, 15 minutes later, and have to pull over. Or, it was crazy. And then I was, I cut out the black tea. I had no more indigestion. I got my life back. And, sometimes we overconsume foods. We can become sensitive to them.
Yeah.
And we need to kind of rotate our food in and out.
So is this true? So you are actually consuming lots of strawberries and bananas and stuff. So
every day
part
to
of your
be
diet.
healthy. Every day.
Man. And I can be nosy. I like being nosy. So how do they test you for these food allergies? Were you doing stuff on the skin? Were you taking stuff orally? Was it like blood work? How do they do it?
There's a lot of different ways. In this particular place, it was a naturopath that was using a Zytoscan, which uses it's not bioimpedance, that's my in-body. But basically, it's literally like taking a lie detector test. That's the best way to put it. You put your hand on a cradle. Yeah. It's almost similar to like muscle testing when you're holding a food and someone can press your arm down to see if you're losing weakness, right? If you become weak, if you lose your strength. And it literally went over like 400 foods. And it shows you which ones are better for you, which ones are okay, and which ones to stay away from because you might be over consuming them.
Yeah.
And I literally, like, even in my office, we do the same thing now. One girl, coffee, didn't realize she was having pain every day in her abdomen, did not associate to her coffee because she was having so many different things. She has no more pain.
Wow.
And another one, it was carrots. Like, these are things that could be okay for someone else, but if we have something every day, sometimes it bothers us. It's just our body is so unique and intricate.
So it was a good coincidence that someone said, hey, your gut may be the answer to other things. And lucky for you, you found out what it was. It did improve the dizziness. It did improve the pain when you cut these things out of the diet.
Within a week.
No kidding. Good for you.
I was struggling for 2.5 years.
So was this before you were a nutritionist or then you became a nutritionist?
Before. Back then I was still like, I'll just tell you, even when I was a teenager, I was like, how can I help people take less medication? I would be in like the library for hours trying to help my aunt who had type 1 diabetes. And I was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can help her. But no, we can't really help that condition. That's slightly different, but just different things. And I've always I just loved natural ways of doing things. But this was honestly, I was at my wit's end. I literally had kind of given up hope. And I thought that I would have to live the rest of my life just getting dizzy and with pain every single day. And after that, I've had no pain.
So how do you go from that? Because I did check out your website to like having a cool like office and a staff and doing all this. Like, is this your way of paying back? Or
it is.
Are you just an entrepreneur? Like, who are you?
Well, I would say we'll talk about I could just say real quick entrepreneurship. I mean, my family's been in the restaurant business since I was 7, started working when I was 7. Actually it was so funny when I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, entrepreneurship. I remember being about 7 or so, maybe 8, maybe 9. and I stole the, I didn't know I was stolen. I was picking the flowers next door and making little bunches and selling them to the neighbors until my mom found out and had to go back and apologize and give them their quarter back and had to plant new flowers, right? Out of my allowance. I had to pay for flowers. So that was probably, I think that was, I relearned you don't sell other things that don't belong to you, but that was that. But my thing was, it was so funny because after I left my ex and, I had a failed marriage, I said, what am I going to do? My friend who is a nurse practitioner was like, Penny, you've been helping people your whole life. Like, she just knew what I always did. I was always trying to research to find things. So I went back, I studied nutrition with Fulton College and a little bit at Cornell and San Diego State University, and kind of put things together, and also became a certified personal trainer and a life coach and a health coach. And it was just kind of like all of these little avenues, that I felt that people needed, right? And because sometimes one doesn't go without the other.
Yeah.
And so, and of course I've done a lot of mentoring. So I loved like having medical assistants I would mentor in my clinic. So I started off with a really tiny little office first before I opened up my big one. And I found, doing food sensitivities, I'm doing body composition analysis because without checking internal numbers, I was always data based for me. Like, and when I was back in school too, I was like, there's some things I didn't agree with. And I was like, how can you know what somebody needs to eat unless you know how much muscle they have on their body, right?
Well said.
How do they know? And then I was like, how do they know if that inflammation is caused by food, right? And so I kind of it was like everything built little by little. I got introduced to red light therapy about 7 years ago. I thought, it's not for weight loss. Okay. So I was going with one of my friends to an office about an hour away, and the doctor was showing me his before and after pictures. I said, he's so full of it.
Yeah.
He went to the gym. There's no way that he lost fat from light. What the heck, right? I had been working out since I was 16 years old. And my thing was, the first thing when I bought the body composition analysis, the in-body for my clinic, I would see people like struggling, like they're losing weight, the scale's not moving, but they're slimming down. And I'd be like, you look amazing. No, it just doesn't work for me. I'm like, no, you put on muscle. And I was like, if they could just see inside their body. And so that's why I invested with that. But going back to light therapy, I was like, I didn't believe it. So my friend bought his device and I went to his office and I got wrapped with these pads, right, all over my body for body contouring. And I saw a difference from the first time I bought it that I said, oh my God, there is something about this that I invested $28,000 in my first machine.
Wow. So let me get this straight. Different. So you're talking about like the full body red light, kind of like in the old school tanning booths where you kind of lay in the tanning booth and you had all the red lights therapy hitting you. Right after that one session, you felt the difference.
It actually was a pad system. We have a bed
so
now. Those are way more
like around the whole body.
The wraps, the arms, the legs. Yes,
So
I took before and after pictures, and I was literally sitting there going, "Oh my God, I don't want to show my friend the pictures of me in my bikini before and after." But I had to I was so much disbelief that I was like, "There's something about this," and I said, "Wow," And then I started studying about. What else does it do? It's not just for fat loss, right? So I invested in this machine. I was using it in the clinic, and I had doctors sending me patients for neuropathy, and we would wrap them, their lower back, legs, feet. And I'm like, in 2 weeks, they started seeing it dissipate and going away. And I was just amazed. And then I had people, like, hey, can you wrap my elbow, my knee, my shoulder? And they were like, the pain was going away, not completely, but reducing it quickly.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, so in the office, I went from one little one and I got introduced to light and sound therapy. And I had a friend who was like, Penny, these are amazing. She met him at a conference, something unrelated to health. So I bought a pair and I said, oh my God, these are incredible. And the science of these glasses that took $3.5 million to build in Belgium, like there is actual data and science. And so then I was like, okay, so now we have light and sound therapy. Now we have the red lights. And then when I was at that office looking at the red lights, the doctor had a PEMF mat, which helps. It's a pulse electromagnetic frequency, which helps with blood flow, right? So I wasn't looking for these things. These were things that I feel like, when I told God that I would help as people as I can, I feel like things were brought to me because I wasn't looking, and things started tying together. Like the longevity arc system that we talked about it started coming together. I'm like, okay, red light, longevity, increasing, our mitochondria in our cells. They can produce more ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That's the battery of the cell. We can rev up the cells. That's incredible. It's like charging your cell phone. To break it down, like when you charge your cell phone, it's dead. You charge it, it works. Same with the cells. We can see hair regrowing. Why? Because those cells that were producing hair can start producing.
Hilarious. Don't be producing hell, dude. This is the wrong podcast for that, dude. That's just a
wrong podcast, wrong word. Oh my God. And skin tight. I mean, even for myself, like I was like, what the heck? I mean, I'm 56. I'm a 56-year-old grandmother now. Okay. And I'm like, I look back at pictures when I was in my late 30s, before I started using light therapy, and in my 40s. And I'm like, I have less wrinkles now, by using it. And then 2 years ago, I started using a red light bed, and it was like head to toe skin, tiny fat melting. Here we come, And it was so funny because when I was using the pad systems for 4 years, I first was, I bought it. Then I was selling for this company. And then I was selling them for this company because I was like, this is amazing. You know what? And then I had this company come and they're like, hey, try out this bed. I said, I don't need it. I would get 2-3 pounds of fat off of people each time. Like, and I'm using a body composition analysis to show the data. Like, it was amazing. And within a week or so, so they're like, hey, we'll bring you this bed. I don't need it. I don't need to spend money. So they brought it to me for a month without paying a dime. I didn't give a credit card. And then I was like, wait a second. I'm having a lady walk in with a cane and she walked out without a cane in the same visit. Another one holding on to her son, walking like a penguin. She has scoliosis with a rod in her back and she's in so much pain that she comes back 3 days later and I'm like, did you just walk in here by yourself? She says, I did. And I can bend my knees in 3 days. Okay. And it's like, wow. And so she's on my Instagram. Like I put all these things on there. So we have, if you go to the National Institute of Health's website, there's over 8,000 studies on what light therapy can do. It's incredible. And so I'll tell you, about 3 years ago, my clients kept telling me, my patients, to be like, do you have something, what can you recommend for home for my elbows, knees, and shoulders? And I was like, I've tried them. They're not enough, none of lights, none of diodes, none of power. Then the company that was making my devices, I was like, hey, can we make small ones? He goes, I'm not interested. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. So I found a company that was doing light therapy, that was making devices, but not to the extent where we had in the clinic. And I did R&D with them and back and forth, and Red Light Pro devices came about. So we have the same power in tiny little devices for knees, elbows, shoulders, back, hats for hair growth, for a fraction of the cost of what it costs for the ones we have in the clinic. And they work just as well. So people can, I've got clinics that use them on their patients, but also people can buy them and use them as soon as they get injured, and they can put it on. They can reduce inflammation and have less pain and start healing faster. And so if you would ask me 3.5 years ago, would I be manufacturing red light therapy devices? No, I'm happy with what I'm doing. But I thought I saw a need that was not being fulfilled. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And so I put my money and my brain and work with engineers and created these devices that work amazing. So
well, let me go kind of narrow down a little bit so we could tell everyone about how does this red light therapy work. But let me say one thing. I think we're totally in agreement that when we talk about body composition, I think that it's only one-dimensional. I know as a clinician, I always use the word BMI, body mass index. You know what I mean? And that's just one very general statement. But it really comes down to, what is your body made of? How much of that is going to be muscle? How much of that is going to be adipose tissue? We're calling that fat. And it really makes a difference. And I think that's using one-dimensional ways to look at the body, whether it's a BMI, is not holistic, and it's sometimes misleading. And by the way, you look great for a grandma, so I'll have to let you know that. And tell my
no Botox, no fillers, by the way, at all.
Your listeners. So red light therapy. We're gonna what is the secret sauce behind it? So you got this wavelength of light. How is it improving all these different things? What does it do in the cell? Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, because in the cells, all of our cells have mitochondria, which produce adenosine triphosphate, ATP, battery of the cell. Okay. Every single part of our body, internally, externally, are made of cells. And so when you help the mitochondria produce more ATP, that cell starts being able to work the way that it used to work again. And I tell people even like we look at hair growth. I mean, we can see in a month, actually like in 14 days, tiny little bit of hair starting to grow, right? And when I see before and after pictures and people say, hey, check out this comb, right, with red light. And I was like, okay. And then they go look at the before and after pictures. I'm like, that was in 6 weeks. They grew 6 inches. A child can't even do that, right? So we have to look at and discern, what are you looking at when you're looking at devices? But actually, being that we can, even the FDA just approved light therapy, photobiomodulation is another word for it, to help with age-related macular degeneration. Okay. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll tell you, when I first got introduced to light therapy, we were told to wear goggles because near infrared light, which is a higher spectrum in the 800 nanometer and above, we thought it wasn't safe for the eyes. We weren't sure, but now we find that it is safe. And I stopped wearing my goggles in the red light bed and under the dome 2 years ago. I have been wearing glasses since I was in junior high, and my eyes kept getting progressively worse. And people see me at the gym because I wouldn't wear my glasses at the gym. I was saying hi. I'm like, I can't see that far, even figures, right? But I was not going to work out. I have my full eyesight back, better than when I was in junior high. And I'll tell you, I had even looked into laser surgery. And there was one day about 6 months ago, and I was looking around, looking at all the cars I was driving, I can actually see all the signs, all the license plates. This is amazing. Because I was afraid if I went to DMV, I wouldn't be able to pass the test without having to have on my driver's license that I need to have glasses, which told me I just got old. Okay, that was my thing. And I got a call from the laser eye surgery that I checked into, and they're like, hey, what are you thinking? You ready to come? I said, to be honest, I was just being amazed and admiring how well my eyes are working right now because I've been using light therapy. She's like, wow, that's great. But it's amazing.
Well, let's talk about hot topic, weight loss, overweight, obesity. Oh my God, we could talk about this for hours. Of course, everyone knows the big drugs out there, those GLP-1 agonists over there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. All those Wegovy's and Zepbounds and those Ozempics. So talk to me about weight loss and red light therapy. And how do you practically do it? Do I need the tanning bed? Do I need the full body thing? How many hours a day do I do it? Tell me about that.
Yes, definitely no hours a day. It really depends on where does somebody have to lose weight. So if it's all over the body, and even we can go down to the visceral fat level, which is around the organs, we can see it on this in-body scans that we can actually affect those organs.
Okay.
The fat around the organs. And so it's in the bed, it's 12 minutes session.
Okay.
There are protocols, for example, on the in-body, we find out how much muscle someone has in the body, which now calculates how much protein we need, how many calories. Okay. Even if we open up fat cells, because that actually allows the fat cell to open up in that time. With the pad system, about 20 minutes, because less power, we need longer time. With the bed, about 12 minutes. Even if we open fat cells up, that's the magic of the machine. Mm-hmm. What you do afterwards is also very important.
Oh, 100%. There's no magic.
And if you don't eat enough, people think it's only about eating too much. Yep. If you eat too little as well, when you go under your basal metabolic rate, that's just the minimum calories for people just to stay alive, right? BMR. Yep. And if you go below that, the body actually won't release the fat that we opened up from the cells, from the body either. Yep. It says, thank you very much for manipulating my cells open, but I need to make sure that your heart is working and your lungs and your, everything, your blood has to flow through, your mind has to think. And so a lot of times, even going back to the Ozempic, the Wegovy, it's good for some people, right? Some people need it on the scale for the pancreas to work better in the liver, or just for appetite suppressant. But I worked with a doctor a year and a half ago. We had 80 patients that I worked with myself on Mounjaro, and 77 people got off of it out of the 80 in about 2.5 months because they were eating too little, and they found that the weight loss that they were getting was water and muscle because they weren't eating enough food. But it does work for some people. It really does. Some people really need it. And it is a tool. And there's nothing wrong with people being on it if they need it. But the light therapy, again, we can release. I mean, I have people losing 2 pounds of fat in 3 or 4 days, and we can see it on the in-body. It's a $10,000 machine just for data. I told you, it's the body composition analysis machines at home, the $30, $50 aren't accurate because it's not, you're not holding on to something on your hands and your feet. It takes all these different, bioimpedance measurements to work, but we see it with the analysis and the skin tightening.
And how many times a day do they have to, or how many times a week? Is it once a week therapy? Is it, 12 minutes? How often?
Depends on how fast they want to lose it. So it takes 3 days to come to the bodies, we find.
Yep.
But if they did it even every other day, but every day would it's not necessary because we need to release that fats, the layers of fat. I'll tell you, I have a lady who finished with me. She was in 2022. She was in my clinic and she lost it in 9 months by eating more food. She was starving herself out. She got to 310 pounds. No injectables, nothing else. We did one cleanse for 30 days just to help her organs work better. And it was herbs. That was it. She lost 120 pounds of weight, 98 pounds of pure fat in 9 months. And because she was doing the light therapy with the bed, she has less hanging skin now than she did before she lost the weight. And that's
now, let's
huge.
talk about the other most important thing besides, getting that appropriate body weight. Skin. Everyone, including myself, wants to still look beautiful, and it's hard.
Right?
And you were mentioning about, tightening of the skin of the face, skin conditions like eczema. Who doesn't have eczema nowadays? So do you feel it works? And is the concept of red light therapy, because of the ATP, the main reason why it helps skin make you look better and stay younger?
That, yes, but it's also reducing inflammation, and it's working also with, I'll just tell you, I think with the organs of the body as well too. I'll share with you, before we had the bed, just the pad system, I had a lady who had thyroid cancer. They radiated her thyroid, which they gave her too much radiation, affected pituitary gland. And she came in, we didn't have the bed yet, so we didn't put anything on the back of her head. It was face dome, the pad over the chin, which also now covers the thyroid's not there, but it's also having, and then the abdomen, the back, and the legs. She, in about 2 months, had hair growing behind her head. We didn't put any red light there. It helped it work better. So when we're looking at eczema, there's actually studies for eczema and psoriasis on red light therapy helping with that. And so we're like, helping with this. And then we're helping the cells produce collagen. Like I'll tell you, we can drink collagen. It's wonderful taking collagen supplements for the fascia, for the skin, but it doesn't take away wrinkles. And every single rep that would come into my office and say, hey, this is great for patients, it'll take away wrinkles. I said, if it worked that great, nobody would have wrinkles. And they would say, okay, you're right. But we can see with the light therapy what it does for the skin. And all the patients that come in are so happy because they aren't getting this flabby skin. They are maintaining their muscle because we can actually now give them the appropriate amount of protein for their body. When I take patients that are across the United States, I won't take anyone as a client unless they get a body composition analysis done because I don't use crystal balls.
Yeah.
Right.
No, help me visualize. So I love that there's a office or where people go, and then I didn't realize you manufacture them as devices. So when we talk about skin and different, ways it could help an individual, are we talking about handheld devices? Do you have different, you know what I mean? Are they localized where they just put it on the arm or on the back of the neck? Or are they all going to be huge mirrors? What are the different types and styles? And what do you recommend?
So with what I manufacture is with the pad system, so we can wrap it around. Like, for example, let's say if somebody wants to tighten their skin, in their abdomen, but they also have loose skin in their back. If we are just doing red light therapy in one area, it's like when you're trying to tighten a balloon. Think about it. If you don't tighten the whole balloon together, you're not going to see the difference. Even though you did produce collagen, the skin became thicker, but unless you're doing all it around. But overall wellness with the panels, great. Some of the beds too it depends on what strength they are, right? I mean, I got in one bed. I flew to Colorado. They told me we have the best red light therapy bed on the market. Great. I went out there. I said, put me on your strongest protocol. And like, we're done in 12 minutes. Like, you can feel the heat right away. And the energy of the people tell me they feel tingly because it's energizing the cells. I was in there and it took 15 minutes for it just to warm up. Mm-hmm. And it was too far away from the body. So the pads have to be on the body for their LEDs or small LEDs. We do 660 nanometer and 880. There's actually 3 lights in each diode. So per square inch, my devices have more than any other on the consumer market. They're just as powerful as we have in the clinics. But it has to be on the skin. But for face, I don't recommend ours to be like, you see the masks they go on the face, on the skin. They have less powerless lights, and you look at the diodes. Like my 11 by 8 inch area has 540 LEDs. Most have maybe about 100 or 200. And so I tell people I don't want to put it on directly onto the face, because one of the protocols for fat loss is then we put compression. So if we put on the face and we open up fat cells, nothing's going to move anywhere unless you push it out and you do things. So when you go to sleep, now you have your hand there. You might start becoming deformed. You wouldn't be happy with me. And the skin is surface. So with my face dome has 1998 LEDs. Okay. It's away from the face 2-3 inches because we're only working on the skin. We're not working on anything underneath it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it's different. So with the face masks on the market, they can put them on the face because they're not that powerful. You're not going to have deformed faces. We don't want that. Nobody wants that.
Oh man, I do love your passion with this. I could feel the energy here. So let me ask a couple more questions. Time's just flying by. So is this going to be a fad? You know, when we talk, what does my daughter always say? These hacks where it's the hip thing to do right now that's going to go away. What do you think about red light therapy? Is it here to stay?
It's definitely here to stay. People don't realize that in the late 1800s, they were using light therapy in other countries to help patients with lupus. Okay. And even though now I think, especially with podcasts, people have become, it's become more like the norm to hear about red light therapy. And we get to learn about all these different hacks like we talk about, right? And biohackers and longevity. and in 1995, NASA took light therapy up to space to see if they can grow plants. And what happened was, not only did it grow the plants, it helped the plants grow, but the astronauts that were tending the plants, the scratches on their hands started to heal, and they had never healed before. And so I talk about this because they're the ones that started putting money into research. And so when you look at research, there is science behind this. Why would you stop doing it? Fads are things that come and go because it was popular and then it went away, because nothing would go away if you actually saw that it was actually doing something and increasing the health span of some individual so they can live with more vitality.
Yeah. And I'll say this is that there is one study of red light therapy that attracted me to it. And it was small. A lot of the studies that we're talking about are small. It was type 2 diabetics. And they randomized them to people to receive red light therapy and not. And they did find out, I'm overly summarizing it, that they had better sugar glucose control for those who got a low red light therapy, because as you were saying, you're cranking up the mitochondria in the cells to utilize more ATP. And how do you make ATP? You got to suck in all that glucose. So I like the concepts behind it. And I love to hear how people like you are using it as another weapon in making people just try to feel healthier, Yeah. And I wish I could now I wish it was a video here. You're so passionate and it makes me happy. So let me ask you this. Yes. Probably one of my last questions is going to be, where do you, the entrepreneur, the person who has these new tools, they're not new, they've been around for a while, where do you go from here? Are you just going to create a big, huge mall? Are you going to buy a state now? What is the next step for you?
Definitely getting them more into the hands of people to try them. I think that's where the goal is, and to get them out to more doctors so they can try them on their patients and see how amazing they are. But also, I learned from a few different doctors that run big care centers on some ideas on how we can get them approved by insurance. Because light therapy right now, that's where it's stopping a lot of the doctors from using the clinic, because They are not used. So they told me what I should be doing to try to get it approved by the FDA and then approved by the insurance for specific, we have for specific conditions, but then again, we need a bigger, at least 30 people for this, not like, okay, we tried on this person had diabetes, and we tried on this person, they had this, but specifically. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start working on that because it really needs to be in the hands of everyone or physicians so we can actually help people live a better life and take less medication. Right? Especially with, all the opioids. I'll tell you, like we had a girl, briefly, real fast. I was at a pickleball tournament. She wasn't even playing. She tripped over another girl just walking by, slammed her hand down, started swelling. And the doctor just happened next to us, go get ice. I said, nope, put in my red light glove. And she did about 30 minutes and it started reducing the swelling right away. And she did one more time and her hand was fine. Like we can also reduce inflammation to start doing therapies better as well. That's what I love. That's why I'm so passionate, because I get to see this every day, and every day I learn something new, and I have a chiropractor put on a restless leg syndrome, and it would literally help her leg. She's like, this is amazing. So there's so much we haven't even learned that we keep learning every day what light therapy can do. And it's incredible.
I love it. And I don't think this is going to be our last conversation. I actually am a board certified sleep physician. And you mentioned buzzwords. I overheard it, restless legs and getting good sleep and insomnia. And no, I could see us just at least talk a little bit more, even behind the camera.
Yeah.
Sure. So, hey, last thing, I want to make sure you get a chance to say something about your business and you. So if my listeners are interested in dabbling in that world and get more info, where are you located? How do they find you? Do you got some websites or anything that you want to mention? I will put these in the show notes, my listeners, but I wanted you to get a chance to just yell them out.
Thank you. So for the devices, you can go to redlightprodevices.com. And also I'm inside of Hands-On Wellness now. I moved my clinic in with other clinicians, so I can now expand the red light and not have to work as much in the clinic. So super exciting.
I love it. Well, Penny, I got to tell you, you are super pleasant. You have that energy that I just love. You just filled up the time in 1 second. So, hey, I wish you all the best. I love people like you that are thinking outside the box, taking risks, and believe that people just don't want to be on lifelong meds. And there has to be other things out there. So Thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. It was amazing. Thank you.
All right, everyone. That's my episode for the Dr. Raj podcast. Stay tuned for the next podcast coming soon.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. Raj Podcast. If you enjoy the show, then please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating while you're there. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. This has been a production of MedPrep2Go, and you can learn more at medprep2go.com.